What is going on, Raptors Nation? Luca here, back with another video. And in today's video, I wanted to take a look at some Raptors players who are primed for a breakout season. Before we dive right into it, please do me a solid. Hit a like on the video. It helps it a ton. And subscribe to the channel for more Raptors content just like this. We're almost at 400 subs on this channel. So if you guys can help me hit that, that would be greatly appreciated. We got you locked and loaded with all Raptors content for the start of the 2023-2024 season. And don't look now, but the season is soon going to be starting. I mean, time is flying, and we are soon going to be having Raptors basketball almost every day to talk about. So let's dive right into it. I want to go over some players who I think are primed for a breakout season for the Raptors. And I'm first going to start with Gary Trent Jr. So given the recent events with Dennis Schroeder absolutely dominating the FIBA World Cup, maybe the Raptors do, in fact, start Schroeder at point guard. And if Schroeder is in the starting lineup, Raptors are not going to bench Barnes. They're not going to bench OG. They're not going to bench Siakam or Pirtle. That means that Gary Trent Jr. will come off the bench. Now, that's not the worst thing in the world, because if Gary Trent Jr. is indeed the man who's left off the starting lineup, he can really establish himself as that sixth man for this Raptors team. And you look at Gary Trent Jr., he opted in. He's going to play this season with the Raptors. He's going to want to show his worth, right? He's going to want to put together his best season yet to earn that big payday in the summer of 2024. As you look at Gary Trent Jr., he did have a nice 2021-2022 season where he averaged 18.3 points per game on 38.3% from three-point range. And then his numbers fell back a bit last season, averaging 17.4 points on 36.9% from three. His field goal percentage actually increased by 2%, but the scoring average and three-point percentage went down. So if Gary Trent Jr. can step up and own that sixth-man role, if that is indeed given to him, I can see Gary Trent Jr. being a lethal offensive weapon for the Raptors from off the bench. He comes into games and he's able to hit his shots at a consistent level, because that's the thing with Gary Trent Jr. We've seen it before. He puts together nice stretches, but it's all about consistency for him. There's going to be a lot of attention on, Scotty, on Pascal Siakam, and being able to space the floor is going to be key for the Raptors, and having guys like Gary Trent Jr. who will be given open looks, cash them in, that's going to be important. So if Gary Trent Jr. can improve his shooting percentage just a tad bit, if that scoring number goes up, he should have a great season. And the thing with Gary Trent Jr., even if he does come from off the bench, the Raptors still play him around that 30-minute mark per game. I think he's going to get ample opportunities. With Fred VanVleet gone, expect Gary Trent Jr. to get more touches, along with some of the other players on this team. So Gary Trent Jr., I do think he could potentially be primed for a breakout season for the Toronto Raptors. Okay, the next guy we're going to look at is Dennis Schroeder. Man, I cannot tell you how impressed I am with Dennis Schroeder, given the most recent events of him absolutely dominating the FIBA World Cup tournament. I mean, who had Dennis Schroeder being the best player at the FIBA World Cup and winning FIBA World Cup MVP, putting him in some elite company? And you look at Schroeder, he not only led Germany to gold, their first gold medal ever at the FIBA World Cup, but he put up an impressive 19.1 points per game and 6.1 assists per game. And Schroeder had the ball in his hands. He was the main focal point of that offense, and he went to work. He got his teammates involved. He got his own offense. We saw him blow past defenders, getting to the rim, setting up his teammates. He did a great job defensively, especially locking up Austin Reeves in that semifinal win against Team USA. So Dennis Schroeder should be able to have himself quite a year with the Raptors. Now, is Dennis Schroeder going to average 19.1, 6.1 assists? He's not going to be the main focal point of the Raptors as he was on Team Germany, but Schroeder's going to have the ball in his hands a lot, and Schroeder wanted to join the Raptors to have more of a leadership role and to help the young guys around him get better. And we saw Dennis Schroeder not only got his offense during the FIBA World Cup, but he set the table for his teammates. So having Schroeder come off the pick and roll with a guy like Pirtle, having Schroeder feed guys like Siakam and Barnes, having Schroeder give guys like Gary Trent Jr., Grady Dick open looks, that's going to be all valuable. And then Schroeder can get to the rim. I mean, speed kills, and it's a breath of fresh air seeing Schroeder being able to get to the rim and just get downhill which opens things up for him and the rest of his teammates. So I do think Dennis Schroeder is going to have his best season possibly of his career. I mean, he should be given around 35 minutes per game, especially if he's indeed the starter of this team. And I don't think he's going to average close to his FIBA mark, but I think he's going to definitely have a much better season than he had a season ago with the Lakers, because you talk about him being in a different environment, different role. It's going to be a much more increased role. And remember, the Raptors brought in Schroeder as Van Vliet's replacement. While I don't think he's going to make up all of Van Vliet's production lost, he can make up the bulk of it. So Dennis Schroeder, he averaged 12.6 points and shot at 41% from the field and 32.9% from three in 30 minutes. Best case scenario for Schroeder, I mean, I can see him averaging closer to that 16-7 points per game mark, which will definitely help. The biggest key for Schroeder is if he can hit that three ball with consistency. And Schroeder actually had a really good year back in 2019-2020 with the Thunder, where he shot it close to 39% from three. So if that happens and Schroeder does have a more increased role and he plays with that confidence and that swagger that he's capable of playing with, I mean, the Raptors are going to be in good hands here. And Dennis Schroeder should be feeling good after quite the summer he had. Signed a new deal, won gold, won FIBA World Cup MVP. Dennis Schroeder could be in line for a big year for the Raptors. Okay, the last guy, if you haven't already figured it out, it's a pretty obvious one, but of course it has to be mentioned. Which player is primed for a breakout season? Scotty Barnes. I mean, all eyes are on Scotty, right? This is his year to show up in a big way. And Scotty Barnes had that Rookie of the Year campaign. People were expecting that leap to come last season. Numbers stayed around the same. Overall, had an underwhelming sophomore season. Wasn't the worst, wasn't the best. But this third year, Barnes will be given an increased role on the offense. He's going to have a majority of the ball handling duties. And in a perfect world, if Scotty Barnes can take that big third-year leap, the Raptors are going to see plenty of success. And with that increased role, I think Scotty Barnes can, in fact, relish the opportunity. And you know Scotty's going to be determined and eager to do just that. And if Scotty Barnes can bring up those averages from 15.3 points to over 20 points per game, and his rebounds go from 6.6 to about 8, and then the biggest thing happens, which is Barnes's efficiency from the field. If he can shoot it around 50% from the field and closer to 35% from three, I know wishful thinking here, but if that all happens, Scotty Barnes will have an amazing opportunity to do something special here with the Raptors, even with Pascal Siakam playing at an all-NBA level. I mean, if those guys can coexist and both of them are just playing at a high level, the Raptors are really going to have a good season. And I think that's the key to the Raptors' success this season, is Barnes' development mixed with being able to coexist with Siakam's production that doesn't fall off. But you look at Barnes, a lot of people compare him to Tatum. You look at Tatum's first two seasons, pretty average. And then that third season, he really blossomed. He really blew up his scoring average and just all of his stats. I know it's a lot of expectations to place on this kid, but people are expecting Barnes to do something similar. Really take it to the next level with his offense. And we know Barnes, he's already a gifted facilitator, playmaker. And if he's able to get his teammates involved more, but also find more of his offense, that's going to go over well for him. So Scotty Barnes, he will be given a lot of opportunities, certainly under Darko Rajakovic, who does prioritize player development. And I'm excited to see what Barnes can do for the season. I think it will be a make or break for Scotty Barnes's overall development and progression. And this is going to be a very telling year of where he's headed. And he is ultimately going to be the key to the Raptors' success. So these are just some players I think are potentially primed for a breakout season with the Toronto Raptors: Gary Trent Jr., Dennis Schroeder, and Scotty Barnes. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with this list? Do you disagree? Is there another player who you got your eyes on for this upcoming 2023-2024 season? That is it for me, everyone. Just want to do a quick one. Again, hit a like and subscribe on your way out. At this, hope a ton. This is Lucas signing off. And until next time, stay safe.